What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I just finished watching episode 5 of The Last of Us. My reaction is under my YouTube membership, so if you guys want to see my reaction to this episode, you're gonna have to go over there and watch me. If you are not a member yet, I've got 2 levels of memberships over there. Level 1 is for $2.99. You're gonna get priority replies from me, special polls and live streams. Level 2 is for $4.99. You're gonna get everything that level 1 has, plus you're gonna get all of my reactions to all of the shows that I watch, any movies that I've been watching, all of my uncut try not to laughs. Now, I've told you guys this already. This, like, going forward, nothing is familiar to me. Nothing is familiar to me because I only played, I think it was almost halfway through the game. After that, I didn't finish it. I will at some point go back and play it from the beginning, or if I can continue it, if I can find it and continue it, I will. I didn't know anything about Sam and Henry. I didn't know anything about what was going on. So in this episode, they are still on the run, but we also see that Sam and Henry already knew who Joel was, because he saw what happened when Joel killed the guys from that group, because they were getting ready to leave the building that they were staying at. And so we also saw how they got there. So they got there, they ended up there with, I think they somehow ended up escaping and getting to this building where they came across the doctor. I'm assuming he's the doctor that we saw that lady, I forgot her name, kill in that cell. So, excuse me. So he's been hiding out there. Nobody has found him. So the boys ended up finding their way there. So they were all staying together, and they supposedly were good for 10 days with food. They didn't have any ammo or anything like that. So in the last episode, we saw when Homegirl went to go look for them, they were like drawings on the board, on the walls and stuff. So we ended up seeing how that came about. Henry went and somehow found like crayons or something to kind of keep him occupied. And I guess the doctor went out to go find food, and he never came back. So the boys were on their own at this point. So they had to leave because there was no food, nothing left. They had to escape. So on their way out trying to escape this building is when they saw Joel having a shootout with the guys. So he saw he killed the guy. So they ended up laying low. And then Joel somehow found his way to that building. They ended up finding the floor that they were going to stay on, and they started stepping on the glass, and they stopped walking. So I guess they knew to walk on the sides of the glass, although it didn't look like they were walking on the side. They were just kind of stepping over it a little bit. And that's when we saw how it ended in the last episode, where they both had their guns drawn. And Henry he wasn't like a pro at this, so he didn't know what to do after he kind of stuck him up. So they ended up talking and trying to figure things out, sharing food and stuff like that. So his whole plan was that he saw the way Joel took out those dudes. So this guy apparently is a rat. I think, I forgot what they called him. They called him, I forgot how he referred to himself. But anyway, he was a rat. So he was like, well, what do you want with me, type of thing. He was like, look, I'm not a bad guy or anything like that, but I see how you took those guys out. So we all need to work together to find a way out. I know how to get out, and you know how to keep these things away, type of thing. Because he apparently has never shot anybody or something like that. So they ended up coming with a plan. He knew exactly where he had to go. So they ended up finding their way out. So they had to get to the other side of where this was. And it seemed easy enough when he was like, well, there's tunnels, and none of these, the homegirl who runs this group, none of them are over there because apparently there's some underground zombies or whatever, right? So nobody's ever going over there. And from what he knows, there's only like 2 of them down there. There's like hardly none, right? That's why they don't have anybody out there. So they were like, it should be easy peasy. Fine. They ended up finding their way through the tunnel. They ended up going on the other side, which was a residential area. So through this whole, so throughout this time, there was a moment where I don't understand why I'm having like a block, but I don't remember the lady's name that runs this group. But anyway, she was in a room, I guess, where she grew up at, and she was talking to the guy that looks like he should be the leader of the group. And she was talking, she had a moment where she was talking about how her and her brother grew up and how safe she felt there, and you know, how basically, you know, she knows that her brother wouldn't want her to do what she's doing, but she's just gonna do it anyway, right? So now they ended up going through these tunnels back to Joel and the kids. So they ended up going through this tunnel, and they were all kind of like, at first they were all kind of introducing each other, and Joel was like, look, I don't know y'all like that, like y'all need to just stay out of my way. And Ellie was just like, you know, like very welcoming, you know, not caring. She just happy that she saw somebody or met somebody or whatever. So they were getting along and they were making their way through. They ended up coming across, they went through the tunnel and they came across this area where it looked like a daycare. Like there were toys and everything all over the place. So they stayed there a while, and there Joel and Henry had a conversation, and that's where we found out why the lady is after him. So he apparently killed her brother because her brother was the leader of this group. And his younger brother Sam, got diagnosed with leukemia. And I guess, I don't know if it was the doctor or the doctor. I was kind of like, wait a minute, the doctor or the brother? I think it was the brother who had medicine or something like that, unless it was the doctor. I don't know why I'm confused about that now that I'm talking about it out loud instead of watching it. Correct me if I'm wrong down below. But anyway, so in order for him to get more medicine, he had to give up her brother. And that's what happened. And that's why she's after him, because that's what he had to do. He had to rat him out, or whatever it is that he did. He didn't really go into detail like that. He just said, you know, I gave him something big. And so now he's like most wanted on their list type of thing because of her, because she wants to kill him because he killed her brother. So they end up kind of staying there a while, and then they end up making their way through. So now it's nighttime, and they're making their way through their residential area when all of a sudden somebody starts shooting from a house right in front of where the water bank is, where they're trying to get to. And it's like there's only one person out there. They're like, they feel like they're home free because there's nobody there. None of her people are there, but the lady in that group had somebody posted up in one of those houses, and it was an older guy. So the closer they got, the more they started shooting, but their aim was horrible. So they ended up hiding behind a car, and Joel ended up getting into the house and taking the guy out. I at first thought that he was like an older guy that was just kind of protecting his home, but no, like he was one of them, like the group people. So Joel took him out. Then we ended up finding out that he basically was giving them information. Like as soon as he saw them, they were like, they're here type of thing. Literally in less than minutes, you saw these big army trucks with all of them coming through, literally driving through all these cars trying to get to them. So now they're all having a shootout. The kids are running. Everybody's running. One of the trucks almost hits Ellie, and Joel shoots the truck. The truck goes into a house. So then the rest of the people come out, because now it's Sam, Henry, and Ellie behind a car. Joel is still up at the house trying to kill people, right? So at this point, she comes out. She's like, you know, I know you're here. you know, it is what it is. Like, she is so ruthless. And then they're having a conversation here, and Henry is just like, well, I'll come out, but you got to let them go. She's like, no, kids die all the time. Like, she was so ruthless. And he was like, he's just a kid. He's just a kid. So he's like, all right, I'm going to go out. He's telling Ellie, whatever you do, take him and just run. Everything goes nuts. When you see the truck that ran into the house, it starts sinking. I'm like, immediately, I was like, that's not good. That's not good. That's not good. That truck sank into the ground, and all of a sudden, it was like the ground exploded with zombies, and all these things are coming out the ground, and it was creeping me out so much. I had to take my socks off because I started getting hot. I was like, oh my God. It was insane how they came out of that hole. Like, it was nuts. They were going at it. I mean, they were attacking every and anything. So the kids start running. At one point, they get separated. Ellie is still trying to make her way through. Sam and Henry are somewhere else. We don't really see them right away. And now Joel, you can see the fear in his face because he is trying to protect Ellie from where he is. And she's running around, and she sees a car with an open window. So she's trying her best to kind of, you know, run away or whatever. So she ends up getting into the car. And there's like a little girl who's what sounds like a clicker. She kind of peeks her head in, but she's kind of doing like this weird acrobat kind of thing, like some type of conjuring kind of thing. She gets in the car. Ellie freaks out. So now Ellie's runs out the car. This little girl zombie is like, now she's like going crazy in the car, right? So Ellie finally finds a spot, but she sees Henry and Sam, and they're kicking off like all these zombies or whatever, right? So one of them is getting pulled. So she ends up trying to make her way through to save them. And she ends up getting to them, pulling them out. And as they're running, the lady stops them. And she kind of like wants to kill them or whatever. And before that, this big ass zombie monster comes out of the hole after all the... Ah! You scared me!
A bloater.
That's what it's called?
A bloater, that's right.
A bloater?
That's how long it's been since you played it.
A bloater? That's weird. That does not even sound like... It doesn't look like what it sounds like it should. That's gonna be my thumbnail. I can't stand him. So this bloater, I told you guys, like, this is all going to be new to me because I didn't play the rest of this game. So this was wild to me. So this big bloater comes out of the hole, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So the guy with the long hair that looks like he's supposed to be leading the pack or whatever, he tells the lady to run. She's trying to run, but then she catches up with the kids. She's like, you're not going anywhere, type of thing. So then they're all standing there looking at her, and you see Ellie look to the side, and it's the zombie little girl, and she jumps on homegirl, and she's literally going to town on her face. I'm like, yo, this little girl is going nuts. Then the big bloater ends up getting to the guy with the long hair. He literally rips his head right off his body. Like, it was insane. Insane. This whole scene was insane. So now things get quiet. Now they're finally at some house where they found a little shelter. They're eating whatever that stuff is that they're eating. Ellie and Sam are in the room, kind of going over that the comic book that they found. Meanwhile, Joel and Henry are talking, and Joel basically invites him to come along with them to Wyoming to go find his brother, right? So now I found it interesting because it's so nice to see Ellie interacting with the kid. Like, it's almost like at this point you see the kid in her and not the hardness as much. And she's like really having fun with Sam, and she's trying to kind of, she's just interacting with him really well considering that he's deaf. And so he has like this little board that he writes that he holds around his neck. So now they're sharing notes and they're talking to each other back and forth. And the boy is asking her, you know, are you ever scared? And she's like, I'm scared all the time. And he is just, you know, he's like, you know, look scared. And she discloses to him that she's scared to be alone. And I'm like, aha. It wasn't a big aha moment, but I'm like, you know what? This big bad exterior that she has about her, I feel now it's more so of a survival mechanism, and she's scared. She's scared and she doesn't want to be alone, and she uses this hardness to protect herself, which is obviously understandable. At times I think she kind of overdoes it. Like when they first got to the tunnel and Joel says, take out your gun, she got a little too happy taking out her gun. She almost looked like, okay, it's go time. Like, no, Ellie, calm down. Just don't overdo it. So then they're going back and forth. And then the little boy, Sam, asks her, if you're a monster, are you still you inside? And she kind of looks at him and he lifts up his leg. He's gotten bitten. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And she's like, she doesn't go tell anybody. Instead, she says, my blood heals. She shows him the scar. She cuts her hand. She attempts to try to save him. So he writes to her, will you stay up with me? And she was like, I promise I'll stay up with you. So of course, the next morning, she fell asleep and he's kind of like at the side of the bed, kind of looking out the window. And she looks like she feels bad that she fell asleep on him. When she goes to tap him, he immediately attacks her. I had a feeling that whatever she did was not going to work. I don't know why I felt that way, but I just felt it. So anyway, Sam attacks her and she's like scared at this point, trying to get him away. She flies through the door. She's trying to like protect herself against him. Meanwhile, Joel and Henry are standing there. He gets up. Henry points a gun at him like, don't you do it. And then they're still on the ground kind of tussling, and Sam kind of looks at him, and immediately Henry shoots his brother. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. It was almost like he was in survival mode. Like he didn't mean to shoot him. It was like a automatic, you see a zombie, you shoot it. And he shot his brother. And Ellie, you can see like she was so distraught. Like, and Joel is trying to calm him down, like, give me the gun, give me the gun. Henry's like, what did I do? What did I do? And he ends up shooting himself. And I'm just like, I couldn't believe that happened, because I thought that they were going to go a long way. Like I said, I don't know anything about Sam and Henry. I don't know if this is what happened in the game. I don't know if this is how it ended, but I didn't like it because it was so sad. I wanted to kind of see them continue on, you know? And it was sad because at this point when that happened, Ellie was like crying and she was scared, and it was tough to see. It was hard because we really saw Ellie's emotions with that, because she really had a friendship with Sam and she was close to him. And before the last thing that she did was give him a hug when she tried to treat him, you know, with her own blood. And so you can almost feel the pain, Ellie's pain, you know, and Joel standing there looking like, of course, a father that doesn't know what to do when his daughter loses a loved one. But he felt bad too. Like he couldn't believe it either. So, you know, the next day they were getting ready to just head west to go meet up with his brother, and they buried both of them. And she left his little notepad on his little makeshift, you know, grave with the words, I'm sorry. And I thought that was really sad. That was really, really sad. And that's kind of where it ended. They just left there. So in the next episode, they do end up getting to Wyoming. He does end up reuniting with his brother. But things start to happen because there's actually, you know, real people there who they are okay being around. But I don't know. I don't know, because this whole trust thing is getting thrown around. Like, I don't know. I don't know. But I feel like at this point, I feel like Ellie and Joel are getting a little closer. Ellie is starting to experience things. She shouldn't even be seeing this stuff. And now I think that all of these things are going to bring them a lot closer together. So I can't wait to see what else happens next. But this was another great episode, you guys. Great episode. Leave your comments down below. Let me know if you enjoyed this episode. If you enjoyed my review, let me know as well. What do you guys think is going to happen next? And if you haven't done so, please subscribe to my channel. Hit like, share, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you guys can get notified whenever I pop up on your feed. I'll see you guys later. Toodles!